You know, I think he's gone. Same way he came. Out of a cloud of smoke.
Come and sit down on the couch. It's time for serial viewing. Hello and welcome to episode 29 of Serial Viewing. Hello, Jeremy.
Hi.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
We are watching the very long-running The Littlest Hobo, which ran from 1963, which was a surprise to me, to 1985, but it was split over 2 different productions for a total of 8 series and 175 episodes. The show revolves around an extremely intelligent stray German shepherd, the titular hobo who wanders from town to town helping people in need. We actually watched Season 1, Episode 1, but we watched Season 1, Episode 1 of the 1979 revival. So we didn't watch the very first episode ever made, we watched the one from 1979. That was called Smoke, in which a shopkeeper aggressively sells traps and poison to help locals deal with wildlife driven into their communities by a forest fire. A toddler ingests some poison meat, so a hobo-led team set out to fly in the antidote in poor weather. This was one of my choices, because I remember it vividly from my childhood and didn't like it. Jennifer, do you remember The Littlest Hobo?
Holy crap, yes.
Do you remember it fondly?
So, yes and no. It's like, it was like the grandstand is as soon as Little Hobo and that bloody song came on, it was time to get off the couch and find something else to do. If I was really lazy and I watched one, then I actually quite enjoyed it. But I very rarely did watch them.
As the resident youth, Jeremy, before I had sent this to you, had you ever heard of The Littlest Hobo?
I hadn't heard it after you sent this to me. No, I
Okay, so this was brand new for you.
Yeah, I mean, now I've watched it, I think back, and it does seem like I have maybe not seen it, but heard of it, like a dog being in random places each episode or something like that. It was like what's it called? Come Outside, right? But without...
Oh, Come Outside with with the dog and the spotty aircraft. It was also very Lassie. Very Lassie-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, very Lassie.
Okay, so I've already given you a quick recap of the episode, so I'll go over it again. Basically, there's a forest fire. A park ranger randomly finds a dog that brings him some wildcat cubs.
It wasn't random.
It was pretty random.
All right, it was pretty random.
My second note was, what a random dog.
Smoke found him.
So the hobo found him to help save the things. The man immediately trusts the wild animal that has brought him these animals.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said originally, there is a provisioner in town. There's a storekeeper in town who's trying to sell traps and poisons. And through a bizarre series of unsupervised children, a child eats some poisoned meat. And the dog helps save the day in a bunch of very random occurrences.
Can we bring...
Well, he's not just some random... He's a ranger.
He is a ranger. And
he loves all animals.
And can I just say, by the standards of the 1979, he is all man. He is a manly man.
Yes, he is.
In there.
He wears his shirt unbuttoned down to here, and he has a tendency to stare.
Tight.
Yeah, and he has a tendency to stare off into the middle distance, and has fabulous hair.
Yes.
He was It was probably some famous person on TV.
I absolutely recognise him from other TV shows.
I didn't, not him, but the shopkeeper definitely recognised him.
He looks familiar, doesn't he?
Well, I think
he was in a porn once.
Before we start mocking the Littlest Hobo too much, I would like to point out that I didn't realise this, but in this research, I found out that this is a Canadian institution. This was a Canadian production, and it is, as far as I can tell from the internet, which is always a very reliable source of information, this is revered as classic Canadian television. Is loved.
Loved.
But there you go.
Yes. No, I realised that after watching, because we watched the TV theme separate.
We did, because of the version we found.
Going through all the comments, I was half expecting to find some sort of witty comment about how 70s it was. But no, it was all just people commenting about how much this made them tear up because of the nostalgia. And
yeah, absolutely.
I can see that. It's really heartfelt as a show. I can see why it does to people. But
well, the theme song, called Maybe Tomorrow, was written by Canadian Terry Bush and John Crossan, and was originally sung by Terry Bush. In 2005, it was commercially released for the first time on his debut album, bearing in mind that he's been singing since the 70s, entitled Maybe Tomorrow. This song is very triggering for me, because I remember this is the theme tune to the I was like, that used to come on, and I always claimed that I used to watch a lot of TV shows because I was too lazy to get off the sofa and go change the channel. That theme song would make me get off the sofa and go and change the channel.
Yep.
Maybe tomorrow.
So what did you guys think of... I'll ask Jennifer first, as someone who remembers this from their teenage years. What do you think of the theme song?
So I wrote the theme tune, but what I meant was the theme tune. Yeah.
No.
The sound quality wasn't great, but I don't think that was the video we watched. I remember it being that crap
being
when
not
we
great.
were younger. Same as the video quality. It's that Valentin.
Quality.
Vaseline.
Oh, the Vaseline.
Film.
I wrote down, did the production company have shares in Vaseline? Because they were shoveling that onto the camera lens.
Yeah, I got that.
So the music wasn't very great.
Everything was in soft focus. Jeremy, what did you, as a resident music person, what did you think of Maybe Tomorrow?
I hated it the first time I heard it and thought it was an incredible gush, and it was like I'd been stabbed by the 70s. But as I kept listening to it, because I had to get it for you, it was weirdly growing on me, and it was annoying. The chorus was, and it was kind of catchy, and I don't remember it now, but I remember it being quite nice. And then, but I hate that. There's one really weird part that is a music nerd bit. This is production nerd me, that they chose to do a really random thing, which was doubling up the main chorus line for the first part of the chorus with this like harmonica horning, which basically makes it sound like he's gargling marbles when he sings it. And it's so, and only for that line, for the rest of the chorus, it clears up, and I'm like, that sounds so much better. Why didn't you just do that? And I don't know. That was me being a music nerd, but at the same time, it was annoying, but it did grow on me a little bit. But it was very much like a splash of the 70s.
See, I don't want to say anything too negative, because I as you said, the YouTube comments and everything. There's a very strong fan base for this, but it was too. And I think I might as well say that it was the problem with the show. It was too feel good. The whole thing was too feel good. And I can imagine myself watching this as a 1979. It came to the UK not much longer after that. I mean, watching this as a young and going, it's too nice. Where's my lasers? Where's my robots? I want explosions. Why is everyone helping each other? Why are we all better people
question,
now?
Henry.
Yes.
Is this related to why you don't like dogs?
Shh, we cover that up. I don't dislike dogs. I just don't get dogs. I did write on my notes, the dog is pretty cute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it was...
Can we talk about that dog? Is it supposed to be a German Shepherd?
It is a
They
German
are.
Shepherd.
Very
So
special.
They are.
it was bred. It's what's known as reverse masked. So the colours are swapped on its face, which isn't very popular with breeders. But the chap who trained London, the name of the dog was London, a guy called Chuck P. Eisman, he deliberately bred them so they had the reverse mask thing. So yes, it was a German
Fair to be more
Shepherd.
iconic, I guess, maybe.
So the main dog was called...
It does look like a bit like... Sorry, I'm just going to say, it does look a bit like a coyote. when it walks out of the smoke, and I'm like, is he really going to walk? I didn't even realize it was a dog when it first came onto the screen.
In America, if a dog approached me that I'd never know, just out of the woods, my first thought would be, oh, rabies, let's just step back. Not, hello, fella, let's...
Also carrying mountain lions cubs in its mouth.
You can eat that? What are you doing with that?
There's weird flags there.
So the main dog was called London, but they also used several of London's relatives, including Toro, Little and Thorn, who did, I think London did about 140 episodes, and then the rest were played by the various dogs. But they were also used in different... So one dog would be better at running through a car, one dog would be better at doing this. They were highly, highly trained. They could understand very specific instructions to recognise colours and to understand all instructions in English, German and French. It's anecdotal, but before the series was picked up, Chuck walked in with London, or one of his dogs, and instructed the dog very specifically to climb up on the desk, take the script out of the guy's hand and return it to him. Which he did. Jumped up on the desk, grabbed him. So yeah, very, very highly trained, which I loved. I loved highly trained dogs. And if you're going to train them, German Shepherds are probably a good bet.
Yeah, I was going to say. The sheepdogs are smarter than most, so it makes sense why they use them as well.
So, let's talk about Roka Rooker. He was the shopkeeper who decided that he was just going to commit genocide against all of the woodland creatures that were being driven out of the forest by the forest fire. By the way, props to the production team for having authentic Canadian firefighting techniques. They were building a fire break, they were digging the ditch, and they were clearing the undergrowth, and there was a park ranger just wandering around with his chest out.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Props to the Foley team as well for doing such a impressive 70s job of this implemented sound effects there, because they were doing they were having a hell of a time.
So all the animals are being driven out of the forest because of the fire, and the varmints, as everyone kept calling them, are getting into feed barns and everything like that. So the guy at the convenience store, whatever you want to call it, starts selling millions of traps and is like handing out rat poison. Yeah, buy the rat poison, buy the rat poison. So our chesty hero and Smoke the dog, which is what he names it because it came out of the smoke, Q looking off into the middle distance. He goes down there and they're arguing, and the dog leads... Oh no, because they go to the old woman's house. The dog grabs the old lady by the dress and pulls her away from the man trap that she herself has put there. So I'm not quite sure why she was surprised it was there.
She was pretending to be surprised.
How did
because
that
they're
get
illegal. But now you say it's a Canadian production, I kind of get the feeling that they were mocking Americans a little bit.
I don't think they were. I think this was quite earnest. I think this was quite... They believed what they were doing. They were... They thought they had struck gold because this was
stereotypical.
Well, they are supposed to be Canadian. There's not supposed to be Americans. They are supposed to be Canadian. It's never implicitly stated.
Oh, okay.
Oh, like if the shopkeep was basically a caricature of American capitalists. Is that what you're saying? Raw profiteering off of the fire.
Like
Maybe he started the fire.
Rednecks.
Yeah.
Right,
Maybe.
I think the problem, one of the many problems I had with this episode, and please jump in, is that okay? So what happened? Roka Rooker, whatever his name is, he's selling all this rat poison. For some reason, he's got a plate of raw meat out the front with some poison in it, as you do.
That's what he says, though. He says, I've laced a whole load of meat with rat poison. And the reason why the hobo flicks it over is because he can smell the rat poisoning.
He knows.
He doesn't want anybody to eat it.
Yeah. So he flips it over, and then this chap comes to the store with his child, and he's complaining about it. Oh, yeah, get some. He goes, okay, I'll get some. Here, let me put this toddler down on this porch outside of a shop next to a forest fire with critters and...
Yep.
All right, so he puts them down, and then the kid eats some poisoned meat. Because of reasons. And then everyone acts like the shopkeeper's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay, the shopkeeper's not. The shopkeeper is not the bad guy in this situation.
No, I didn't think so.
It is the father needs to be interviewed by the police for placing a toddler on the ground and going into a shop. He probably got a beer and some smokes while he was in there. You don't just walk off and leave the kid. I mean, and then later on, the Roka shows up and he's like really sorry, and he brings them some flowers. And no, it's the dad's fault.
Yeah,
why?
I know. Yeah, 100%. Like, I wrote down as he put it down, and I wrote it like this straight away because it was right after the month line, but it was, oh, right, it's the 70s. and then followed later by when she complains that she never wants to see him again. I'm like, well, maybe you should speak to your husband about why the child was left on his own outside when you know the wild animals are about. And you're trying to deliberately, like...
It has got... I mean, yes, he should have been selling... Yeah, he shouldn't have been selling the stuff, but the father left the child unsupervised outside during a forest fire with... Yeah. He's already said there's animals all over the place.
As I said, it was the 70s.
But yeah, like you said, there's the 70s, and this sort of thing probably did happen.
Probably. It did.
Oh, yeah. Let's pile the kids into the back of the car with no seatbelts and go terrorising around the countryside.
Oh no. Park outside the pub, go inside, get some apple ties and a packet of crisps for kids to sit inside the car. Well, we spend like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, been there.
That's the generation.
Have you guys watched F is for Family?
No, I have not seen it.
It's an animated show made by Bill Burr on Netflix. And it's a 70s family, and it's basically this, and it's so good.
We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. It's very fun.
So the TV show was based on a 1958 American film, also called The Littlest Hobo. Can anyone tell me what this was called in French?
Le Littlest Hobo.
I don't know what a hobo is.
It was just Le Vagabond.
Oh, the Vagabond.
Le Vagabond. It was recorded in colour, but was shown in black and white. I don't quite know why.
I don't know why they do that.
No. There were several celebrity appearances. I mean, this ran for 175 episodes. It ran from 1963 to 1965, and then from 1979 to 1985. It ran in syndication. The first 2 series ran in syndication for years and years and years until someone thought, hang on, we're missing a trick here. And I think it was the dog's trainer, Chuck P. Eisman, who tried to bring it back. Or did bring it back successfully. And it was one of those shows that everyone wanted to be on.
Mm-hmm.
So we had DeForest Kelly.
Who?
Scotty from Star Trek.
No, Bones from Star Trek.
Bones, sorry.
I'm going to have to take Jeremy's nerd card away from him.
It's okay. I still haven't seen any of the original Star Trek. So.
Oh. He's not a Star Trekkie.
Yeah, I'm not a Trekkie.
Yeah. No, he's not a Trekkie.
So DeForest Kelly, Michael Ironside was in it as a young man.
That sounds familiar.
I know Jen knows who Michael is.
Yeah, I know who Michael is.
He was... Who would you know him as? Oh, he's Lieutenant Rashjek in Starship Troopers.
Which one?
Gets his legs bitten off.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
He must have been really young.
Rashjek's Roughnecks. Yep. And Leslie Nielsen. Airplane, Police Naked Gun.
Yeah.
and my favourite, Mike Myers.
Really?
Yep. As a child, he played Tommy in Boy on Wheels. He was a friend of the main character. So yeah, little Mike Myers was on.
I need to watch that on.
No, it'd be worth it just to go and have a look.
Baby Mike Myers.
So the dog, the dog's can't talk, and has no magic powers. Everyone just kind of gets where he's coming from, man. But he went through some quite varied adventures, including helping a prima ballerina defect from Russian captors. Not quite sure how he managed to do that. He helped a mime and a deaf boy prevent a robbery.
That's a joke.
At one point, he turned health inspector when botulism was discovered at a campground. My second favourite one that I found was the dog encourages a paraplegic boy to enter a frisbee throwing contest, to the dismay of the youth's overly protective widowed father, who hates dogs because he drove at excessive speeds and had to swerve to avoid a stray dog, which then caused a car crash which killed his wife and paralysed his son. The hobo saves the littlest hobo saves the boy's life, and the father finally sees the light. Thanks, littlest hobo.
This guy just sounds like an asshole.
Yeah. Okay. Now, right. Season 5, there was a 2-part episode called The Genesis Tapes, where a scientist and a reporter actually theorised that the littlest hobo was some sort of superior canine.
God.
So they were tracking him and doing all this research. So the reporter theorised that they'd got all these stories about this dog helping various people and like cheering people up and saving the day, and he reckoned it was just one dog, and the scientists thought that there could be up to 100 of them because there was just too many stories. So they start tracking and trying to capture the littlest hobo to study him. The scientist wants to do this so he can claim to have captured the first meta canine. So the show was beginning to play with the fact that how is this dog doing all of this? The little hobo succeeds in destroying the VHS tapes of himself that the scientist and reporter have intended to use to prove that he was an evolved canine. There was lots of flashback footage from the first 5 seasons, but it was never actually confirmed or denied that he was a superior canine by either evolution or design. So he could be something. Could be an alien. He could be like some sort of super breed of.
God, his infiltration.
Yeah, well, there's obviously some psychic powers because the dog shows up and everybody falls in love with him. No one's worried about the fact that there is a random dog just appears.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, having now rewatched it, I've realised that the dog shows up and the towns and people get all this bad luck that he has to sort out, and then he fucks off.
So we were saying is the dog himself is the harbinger of doom.
The dog is the devil.
I can't say that because it's an awesome dog.
I think that the dog is obviously psychic. And this is how he gets. He feeds. This is how he gets food. He shows up and he like, and he like implants things, and he helps out a little bit by talking to the people, and then they feed him, and he goes, right, I'm off, bye. And he just wanders off into the middle distance, leaving a man with a strapping chest and fantastic hair to get.
Theory.
Oh wait, right. Hang on,
I have a theory. Can I say my theory?
Yes, go for it.
We all saying our theories. My theory is the dog is actually the body is actually inhabits the spirit of a reincarnated World War II soldier who defected after he was paradropping, and basically he died not helping his friend because he asked him, you really look like you've done this before, and he jumped out of a plane and the paratrooper, and I'm like, I swear he's a paratrooper and he's been reincarnated to help people now. That's his only purpose in life.
Stairway to Heaven.
The kid gets poisoned There's no antidote in town, then there's no doctor in town. So strapping chap, he rides to the next town, but for reasons they have to fly back. And the doctor can't fly, and they've only got one parachute, and he's explaining this to the doctor, like, you're going to have to fly, or if you could fly, what I would do is take this parachute and jump heroically down with the antidote. And the dog goes, I'm in. I can do that.
Woof.
Goes and gets
the dog just goes woof.
The dog goes and gets the parachute, and the guy's like, I think we found a volunteer. And the dog's got, no, I was just getting the parachute for you. I'm not going. Don't. Why are you strapping me into this? Don't throw me out the plane. And then they throw the dog out the plane. Cut to a camera that's very obviously shaking to make it look like the dog's swaying in a harness.
It looked like a baby. And it became a baby view.
What I said was that, and I said it a couple of times, that this is the 60s and 70s. So that was probably a real coker that they trapped, and it was probably a real dog that they chucked.
Oh, yeah.
That
was a real cougar.
Because there was no health and safety.
So I've worn a parachute, and I know you have as well.
Yeah.
And getting those on is a nightmare, and getting them off is not much easier. How did the dog get out of the harness?
Yes, because he's
landed.
a World War II veteran.
He would have landed, flopped over his side, and just gone for like an hour.
Because it was,
I know.
basically it was too big, so he just popped out of it.
I'm telling you, it's because he's done this before.
I mean, I did think it was hilarious. I had dog parachuting.
It was so.
Really? That's where we're going.
My favourite part of the whole episode is like, he's explaining the plan to the doctor, and he's like, right, all you've got to do is hold the stick and like keep it steady. Don't let it wobble. And doctor's right, okay, I get that. So, and then he's putting the parachute, and you can see him looking out the window. He goes, hold it steady, doc. And the doc's like, I am. And then it cuts the plane practically upside down. Seriously, dude. All you had to do was just sit there.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
laugh.
It's a thunderstorm, and that plane has no sides. So I'm like, how are any of them in there?
All right, so the parachute will leave the parachuting dog, and it lands and somehow gets to the harness, and then it shows up at the vet's house who's going to administer the antidote, scratches on it, opens the door. She takes one look at the dog and goes, "You've got the antidote," instead of, "What the fuck are you doing here? Where's the dude with the fantastic hair? Oh my god, they've crashed." No, you've got the antidote. I knew you'd get through. No, you didn't. You didn't know shit.
Have you eaten?
I did laugh because it's like, that dog's just parachuted out of an airplane, but it can't open a door. Yeah. It can't get in a building.
It can tell me that the social security number of the chap that's just like robbed the bank is 650, but can't work a door handle.
Well, it was a knob, to be fair.
The dog is a knob, yeah. No, sorry, I mean the dog.
The dog's awesome.
Bet you this dog could play poker.
Yes.
With Lassie.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, because it's too good for that.
Mm-hmm.
Gambling's a sin.
No. That's Lassie. Lassie would be too good to it. This is a hobo. The boy's got to eat, so he's quite happy to do some gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else... Okay, so it gets to the end of the episode. We get the little wrap up, and like, oh, everyone's safe, and he's standing with his hands on his hips, looking off to the middle distance, ignoring the dog, while she sits.
The vet to marry him.
Yeah, she sits there like feeling. Where did that relationship come from? I had no. They were talking early on, and then
I got that they were in a relationship from the beginning.
I didn't. That was new information to me. He's like, yes, perhaps we can make this more a bit permanent. I'm like, whoa, dude, let's get married. Whoa, you just started to marry.
It did come out of nowhere, but they did seem close when they first came. I was very unsure of their relationship until he kissed her for about 2 minutes in a kids show. I was like, that's too much tongue for a kids show.
I think we're just harking back to 1970s alpha male, and he goes, "I've saved the day with the help of the dog. Marry me, woman." Oh yes.
I wrote down, he's a goddamn Teddy motherfucking Roosevelt hero.
I've put Ray is just an all-American hero.
Yeah.
And his hair didn't move in the wind. That stuff was static.
Hair sprayed on the...
Oh, and then he's given his little speech at the end, like how the dog's like such a hero and everything. And she was I don't know if anyone knows, she was feeding the cub,
Cubs.
and she had the most vacant,
Yep.
dumb look on her face. She was gone. She was not there. She's like, oh, he's monologuing again. I'm gonna go to my happy place.
That was my last note. It's like her looks into the camera, just fantastic.
Wasn't good.
One of the things that did it on me is when she's supposed to be doing all this stuff to the child and listening to the doctor on the thing. Even as a vet, she'd be able to put a drip in.
Oh, yeah.
She would have put a drip in because it's poison. You need to get you're flushing it out of the system.
This might be the only time in serial viewing history where I will ever write this sentence down as a note, but I just wrote, time to purge a baby.
Oh, and then another 1970s-ism. She's talking to the doctor, and he comes over and is like, and then he just takes the phone off of her. Shut up, woman, with your veterinary degree. Let
me see that.
He did.
They're listening.
No, he was talking.
And then the doctor's talking about getting to the wherever
and he just like, get off, woman. You can't handle this. Is time for my manly chest to deal with this.
And then he says, "You can't come that way. The bridge is out." And she starts saying, "Oh, the bridge is out." And then he's like, "Let me to it on the phone. I can't seem to be able to talk tonight."
It's only because the dog wasn't able to knock it out of their phone and just start barking down the phone. Yeah, actually barking, and the doctor understanding exactly all the medical supplies they needed.
What's that, hobo?
I did have a little laugh. It was when the kid was coming around at the end, and the dog was up against him.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, as a little toddler, he went to touch him, and the dog was like, "Whoa, you're gross! Get off of me, kid!
Yeah,
you eat random meat off the floor." Even as a dog, I'd turn my nose up at that.
There was a bit where the kid's coming round, and the dog's all like looking intently at him, and the kid moves his fingers, and then his arm moves.
Like,
that child was not moving his arm.
Yeah.
Some adult had got hold of his elbow and was like waving the arm, because there was no way that kid was moving naturally like that.
Yeah,
that did make me laugh. Like, no. 53 takes. Look, Timmy, just move your arm slowly. No, Timmy, move your... Oh, give me the damn kid.
You might have even been a puppet. Yeah. Also,
the only... Oh, yeah.
No, I was just going to say that fight scene between the cougar bit. What was that music?
Yeah.
That was just like pure 70s Magnum PI, like being like the guitar going there. Was
quite early on.
Wow.
There was I should bring that up because there was a real random mix of music going on in this. Because, you had the Magnum PI guitar bass stuff. At one point, it was like, oh, someone's found the keyboard.
Yeah.
Because there was a real probably late 70s, 80s keyboard music. And then you'd get a bit of, not orchestra music, but some classical music, like some horns and everything. And then you get whack, 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 and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And I know the camera was smeared with Vaseline, and I almost felt like the audio was a little smeared with Vaseline as well.
The whole show was covered in
in
smoke from the wildfire.
They filmed it, took the actual film canister, and just dumped it into a vat of Vaseline. Like, there you go, it's ready. And so we get to the end, and I just feel like we're just better people now. Everyone's just a better person, and we're going to go hug our neighbour, and I'm going to take them a pie later just because of the littlest hobo. It's too schmaltzy for me.
I'm with the scientists. We should hunt that dog down. It's definitely some sort of creature from another planet that just like somehow knows everything. Do
you know what? On the very last episode, if they'd have shown the dog like trotting up the ramp of a like flying saucer, I would have believed. Yep, yeah. That seems quite reasonable to me. Yeah,
it should be like Up, but like Paul.
So we mix Up and Paul and get the Littlest Hobo. Yeah. So in 2017, Manatee Films announced that it was set to revive the Littlest Hobo, A gritty new action drama take tailored for the 20th century audiences, where the nomadic canine would return to battle crime and help the needy. That seemed to have gone nowhere. It was announced. They did a trailer. There's a trailer on YouTube if you'd like to go check it out. Yeah. And then nothing.
I'm going to watch it.
I'm not sure the world is ready for... The same way I don't think the world's ready for a Lassie reboot.
Ugh.
I don't think we're ready for a Littlest Hobo reboot. I think the world has moved on.
Moved on, yeah.
What was the other one? The other dog movie with the slobbery big dog, the Saint Bernard.
Oh, Beethoven.
Beethoven, that was it. It's a band.
Yeah, unless the Littlest Hobo these days would have like a Bluetooth drone and a team of handlers that knew how... Yeah, it would be... It would just be weird.
Unless they got Tom Hanks in it. Tom Hanks works well with dogs.
Can he be the voice of the dog? Can the dog have an inner monologue? Oh no, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman.
I wish I could do a Tom Hanks impression.
Yeah, so I don't think the world's ready for it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Me neither.
I'm not ready for it.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't ready for it the first time. So, I mean, what more is there to say about the Littlest Hobo? It's about this dog that gets into, frankly, weird situations.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be supernatural or otherworldly or an alien or a meta canine or anything like that, but it obviously is, because nobody trusts a dog that fast. Anyone, I don't care if you're a vet or anybody, a vet would especially not trust a wild animal that quickly. But here he is, saving people's lives and generally being a good boy. The goodest of boys.
The goodest of boys. The best of boys.
Yep.
I forgot what I was going to say. I mean, no, I appreciate the fact that how this could be someone's childhood show. And the nostalgia Absolutely. Is very real for them. And I respect that. You know, if I grew up with it, I'm sure it would be something similar to me. But just coming in cold turkey, it's the weirdest show.
It really is.
I don't think it's bad.
It's not bad. It's just very 70s. Kind of cringy. Very much schmaltzy and confusing as all hell.
I think you're right. It is of its time, and I think at the time people have just watched it as a feel good, and it is. This is the dictionary definition of a feel good TV show.
Yeah,
cute animals doing wonderful things for nice people.
Yeah,
and I think that worked back then. I don't think anyone would have questioned it, and I think I don't know if it speaks to the more cynical times we're in, but where we kind of look at it and go, what? He just strapped a dog into a parachute and threw it out of a plane. That's not normal.
Just think, in the 1930s, they used to strap explosives to them.
That was the Russians, but yes. So let's go. Let's have some final thoughts, and we'll give it a rating.
Maybe he's an escaping one of those dogs. That's just immortal.
Yeah, see, those dogs didn't work because they were trained. All right. I'm sure people know this. Yeah, so they basically had large amounts of explosives strapped to them, and then they were trained with food to run underneath tanks where an operator would then detonate the bombs. Brilliant, great. But they used Russian tanks to train the dogs, so the dogs always ran under Russian tanks. And then, well, it was they wouldn't because the operator would have to set it off. But yeah, basically, it didn't work because they trained them on the wrong tanks.
They didn't think that one through, did they?
So
they're probably also speaking Russian to them, and dogs don't understand Russian.
Well, Russian dogs do.
Nah.
If it was a Greek dog, you'd be lost. You do that whole thing. So, would you recommend this to a parent with a young child, Jennifer?
I'm not sure. Not a really young child.
I think the younger would be better for this because it is very simple. They're not. They're not playing with complex themes here.
No. But some of it's not safe.
Well, it's educational. Don't eat meat you find raw meat you find on a patio.
Maybe if they liked dogs.
That was very non-committal.
Yeah.
Jeremy, would this be something you would watch with some beers, with your flatmates, with your roommates, for example?
This would be painful experience watching with them. They'd be like, "What the hell are you showing us?"
Could even find an ironic reason to watch it.
If I was to recommend it to someone with kids, yeah, I would definitely. But not like I think you could get away with up to 10-year-olds before they start getting bored, maybe. And I think it'd be fine. You know, yeah, there's some dumb stuff, but if you train your kids right, then like the dogs are trained right, then you then you have nothing to worry about.
I think that you could make an amazing drinking game out of this. So every time something stereotypically 70s happens, it's like the man with the perfect hair and his chest hanging out shows up, drink. Every time anybody, the dog, the people do something that just wouldn't happen, like throw a dog out of an airplane or immediately trust a rabid animal, drink. You'd have alcohol poisoning by the end of the episode.
Every time there's a shot that has more Vaseline than colour on the screen.
Yeah. Every time everything's just a little bit too softly focused. All right.
Every time a parent makes a really bad decision that endangers the children, finish your drink.
Yeah. Chug, chug, chug. Right, yeah. Jennifer, anything more to say about The Littlest Hobo? No?
No.
Are you going to give us a rating for it?
All I've got to say is that's it. And the dog just fucks off. I do remember some of them like tried to find where the dog had come from.
Yep.
But you didn't get really much information. And I don't know if at the end it comes to an end, like he finds an old house or finds some owners, which I always wanted for him.
Really?
No.
So yeah, I don't like that. I get that he's happy.
Yeah.
But he would be happier.
You just want to take care of him.
Yeah. He'd be an awesome dog. Go parachuting together.
Foil bank robberies. Get into some espionage.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he does grow his hair out and become the come outside dog.
It's a good.
The come outside dog was like a foot long.
Yeah, it's a bit bigger than
For those of you who don't know, there is a British TV show called Come Outside, and it's about a middle-aged lady and her dog, and they go on adventures.
Can you imagine Nurse Gladys Manuel shaving the dog and it turns to a German Shepherd? I can't remember. Oh, Pippin. Oh,
Pippin was the
Pippin.
dog. Pippin was the
That's
name.
another TV series that gives you Tourette's.
That is a show that is on our list. So
Is it?
give it I want you to score it out of 10.
It's gonna get a 5.
Okay. All right. So middle of the road. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
Yep.
Okay.
Got a few laughs. I'm terrified.
Probably for the rock.
It's really tense. 1 minute the dog nearly eats poison. Next minute the kid eats poison.
Kids will eat anything, man.
Yes, they will.
Jeremy,
Yes.
any final thoughts about The Littlest Hobo? Nope.
Watch your kids, people.
That's a no. Yeah.
Just yeah. I'm gonna rate it a 5 as well. I think, just because it is.
Okay. Wow.
I don't offend anybody too much because this one is a bit heartfelt and there's nothing really wrong with it. But at the same time,
but at the same time, it's the same.
Yeah.
I apologise to Canada, but I gave this a 3.5, which is lower than everyone else on the sofa because I couldn't take it seriously, and it was too feel good. It was too schmaltzy. It was just too much, and I couldn't suspend disbelief about the Wonder Dog. I just couldn't do it. But that does give it a very, very respectable 4.5.
There we go. Marmaduke.
Nothing wrong with that. Cool.
Marmaduke.
Marmaduke?
Idiot.
It's his brother.
Wasn't Marmaduke a comic strip?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a comic strip.
It was never... Right, okay. Oh, they made a movie. They did make a Marmaduke movie.
Was it Owen Wilson?
I've no idea. I just dredged that up from the depths.
I swear there's another dog as well who speaks. Wonder Dog? Is it Wonder Dog?
Are you talking about Bolt?
No, not Bolt. No, the American one, probably
Bolt was
what Bolt's
cool.
based on. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there was Tintin.
No, I think it's Wonder Dog.
No, Rin
It's
Tin
like a
Tin.
Dalmatian or something.
I think. Because there's been several. I mean, Lassie, the Littlest Hobo, Rin Tin Tin. There's another one whose name I've forgotten.
I don't know. There's any episode.
Anyway, it's a
Underdog.
common
Underdog. Yeah.
Underdog. I don't know that one. So anyway, people figured out that they could these trained animals were worth TV time and were worth money. Lassie was huge back in the day, and so was the Littlest Hobo, and it still is, and it's a much loved franchise. Can anyone remember what we are watching for our next episode?
No.
You haven't told me, so I don't know.
Is it my pick?
We have meetings about this. No, it's mine again.
Well,
For some reason. Okay, I'll give you a little clue. Dun 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 dun.
National Geographic.
Dun, dun,
I was trying to
dun,
think of
dun,
something funny.
This is the voice of the Mysterons.
It's Captain Scarlet.
Captain Scarlet! Captain Scarlet. Dun, dun, dun. So
wow,
excited.
I'm actually excited for this because it's been so long since
love
I've seen Captain Scarlet.
I love Captain
We're
Scarlet.
going to talk about SPVs.
Yes, we are. Well remembered. So I'm sure we'll
SPVs.
talk about SPVs. Yep, we'll tell you next week. So our next episode, we are watching Captain Scarlet, a classic Jerry Anderson. So go check that out.
And-
We're probably watching the first episode, Series 1, first one.
We get to
And?
throw back to Series 1 serial viewing when we'll compare it to Terrorhawks.
Is that wise?
I think
Jennifer's
so.
on the team now. Anyway, yes, so Captain Scarlet. Are any of you out there fans of The Littlest Hobo? Do you remember it fondly? Do you watch it now? When was the last time you watched it? Let us know. We'd love to hear if you disagree with us. We're okay with that. You're wrong, but it's fine.
Oh, I don't know. You might
can
be
leave
right.
You might be right. If you leave us a voicemail on serialviewing.com, just go to the contact page. We will play you on the show. You can get on the show, or you can send us an email or contact through Facebook, Instagram, all those many wonderful places. So please let us know. Please join us for our next episode, Captain Scarlet. Dun, 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 dun. I love it. I'm so excited.
What episode are we on now?
This is episode 29. So our next episode will be the big 30.
29, 5, 6. Oh. So yeah, so that next episode will be halfway through Series 3.
Yes, that is correct. Very excited. Although I've come into some information recently about a children's television show from my youth, which is so bizarre and so out there, I may have to bump the running order a little bit, just so we can talk about this show, just so I have the excuse to talk about this piece of information I found out, because I didn't know, and it blew my mind, and it is the weirdest shit ever.
Serial viewing revelation.
I know. And I obviously I'm going to have to talk to these two to make sure they're okay with me bumping an episode, but I can't tell them why I want to bump it because I want to talk about it on the show because it's just weird.
Okay, well.
Anyway, Thank you very much for joining us. Please come back and catch us next time. Thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us on the sofa. And we will catch you next time. Bye.
Woof, woof.
Just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So